let's try to continue. So it's getting really late.
So we now come to the part where we're going to hear from our 5 rapporteurs who were very attentively paying attention this morning to and this afternoon to the various sessions that we held here. They're going to give a summary, very brief summary of each one of the 5 sessions that they covered. So can I invite our rapporteurs to join me, please? And I'll get the full list out and what sessions they were covering. So session 1, which was addressing fundamental Black Sea research challenges, the rapporteur for that was Mustafa Yücel, the Associate Professor and Vice Director at the Institute of Marine Sciences in Mersin, Middle East Technical University in Turkey. Session 2 was about challenges, opportunities, solutions and clusters underpinning Black Sea blue growth. The rapporteur for that was Tudor Kastravet, the lecturer at the Tiraspol State University Institute of Geography in Chisinau in the Republic of Moldova. The third session was about building critical support systems and innovative infrastructures. That was covered by Joanna Staneva, who coordinates Ocean Waves modeling themes at Helmholtz Zentrum in Gstaad, Germany. The fourth session was about education and capacity building. The rapporteur was Milan Baltov, Deputy Rector at the Burgos Free University in Bulgaria. And the final session, which was about connections between the rivers and the sea. The rapporteur for that was Vangelis Papathanasiou, the Director of Research Emeritus with the Hellenic Center of Marine Research. So we'll start off with you, Mustafa. And just don't bother coming to the podium because one can pass to the other. Sure. So your slides will come up there and then just pass the slide clicker on then.
Thank you very much. So, okay, the slides are... Okay, so as you recall, the first pillar was about addressing fundamental Black Sea research challenges, and our panel speakers were Gilles Loricollet from IFREMER in France, Agustin Sanchez Arquilla from Barcelona, Polytechnic University of Barcelona, and Marie-Laure Grégoire from University of Liège in Belgium. So in this series of talks, our speakers nicely covered a whole range of topics from the formation of the Black Sea, the tectonic plates that forming Black Sea, its paleoclimate history, and then from there we moved to more recent climate change, adaptation strategies, the need for different models, and then we have also discussed in Marie-Laure's talk, we have seen how actually all these different elements can be combined to be able to predict the future of the Black Sea. So in a way, if you also just take a quick glance at the Pillar 1 actions, you'll see that our speakers directly covered 8 of 11 of those actions. So that was quite nice. So our first speaker, Gilles, he basically, he of course covered very nicely the history of the Black Sea. So what we learned from him basically was that the Black Sea formed from one of the closing arms of the Tethys Ocean or Para-Tethys Ocean. It started closing around 30 million years ago. And then basically over the time it became a closed, sometimes semi-enclosed basin, as you all know. So, but being a small basin, relatively small basin, isolated basin from the rest of the ocean, it was able to respond to the changes of the Earth's climate relatively rapidly. But more importantly, due to its peculiar characteristics of the basin, the intermittent lack of anoxia, the traces, the proxies that recorded the past Earth's climate were kept in the Black Sea sediments and stored there for us to study. So that's why Gilles underlined that also in the question and answer session. That's one of the big reasons why Black Sea is so unique and it has global relevance. It is a unique paleoclimate archive. And you can even go back to currently past 5 million years. You can study the past climate going back to millions of years. And he underlined the need for exploration of the Black Sea basin, but in an integrated way, from surface to the deep sea of the Black Sea. Our second speaker, Agustin Sanchez Arquilla from Barcelona, he talked about climate change and adaptation, the need for adaptation to climate change. And we have learned from him that coastal zones are increasingly impacted by a variety of climate-driven risks, such as sea level rise, increasing population density, and geomorphological changes, such as sand movements. And what was nice actually to learn from his presentation was that we are all aware and familiar with IPCC forecasts, for example, but they are very large-scale forecasts. So there's a huge need for regionalized, more high-resolution forecast, and which he called downscaling, basically. So we need new methodologies, from what I understood, for downscaled products. We need local downscaled products in response to the needs of the communities living around Black Sea. This is a challenge, but this is a really good research direction, looks like. And using, actually fueled by these regional downscaled products, he underlined the need to develop adaptation pathways for coastal communities. In our final talk, in our panel, Marie-Laure Gregoire, she actually took us a journey from daily timescales to seasons and over decades, and even she talked about centennial responses of marine ecosystems. So basically, in 3 sections of her talk, she first started with daily to seasonal processes in the Black Sea. For example, transient events such as hypoxia formation on the northwestern shelf and harmful algal bloom outbreaks. So they can all be actually predicted, and they can be included in operational models for the Black Sea. So that was really cool to hear. At the second part of her talk, she talked about annual to decadal changes in the Black Sea. And as an example, she talked about how warming and changing circulation of the Black Sea can influence fisheries in a few years to decades. So all these need to be considered when predicting Black Sea's future. And over even longer term, there will be other processes changing. For example, deoxygenation. Okay, in the short term, decadal term, it's going to affect fisheries, but over long term, it's going to change the nitrogen budget, nitrogen cycle of the Black Sea. What will possibly happen is that the growing hypoxic zones in the Black Sea, as in the world ocean, is going to be emitting more climate warming greenhouse gases, such as nitrous oxide, and due to denitrification. So that's one example of how over long term Black Sea will be continuing to change. And we will need to include all the processes occurring at different time scales in models. And as the major gap, she thought, the major gap between knowledge and resilience is, according to Marie-Laure, is basically the need for integrating the processes in the sea basin with what's going on in rivers, sediments, and atmosphere, which is also one of related to one of the actions in the current Pillar 1. So, in a very quick summary, as I said, our speakers touched upon many aspects, many issues covered in this area, and showed us some ways to start implementation of those actions. But as a take-home message, at this personally, I felt like, especially on paleoclimate, climate change adaptation, and the study of impact of multi-stresses on food systems, Black Sea is one of the best natural labs you can have on our planet. So that's why Black Sea is of global significance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. put the timer clock down from 5, please? Can I just ask you to stick to the 5 minutes because we're going to go way over time. So now to our second rapporteur, Tudor Castrovet.
Good afternoon, everybody. In the next few minutes, I will try to make a summary of the session 2 of today morning, called Challenges, Opportunities, Solutions and Cluster, Underpinning Black Sea Blue Growth. There were 3 presentations in this session. Transnational collaboration to increase value and impact on national research and innovation investments by Thorsten Kiefer. Ocean Observations, Requirements and Sustainability by Eric Book from Goose, and Potential of Wind Resources in the Black Sea by Takvor Sukisyan. I'll start with the first one of them. Why creation of international networks is so important? It was an important idea of this presentation because strategic research and innovation agendas are based on priorities put forward by member states and focusing on challenges that cannot be solved at national level. This is why international networks of researchers and increase the value and impact across regions by aligning and implementing national priorities, by connected converging priorities, by facilitating knowledge. Also, important aspects covered by international networks are co-funding possibilities, a flexibility of combining national and European resources. It's very important. Also, infrastructure sharing, a very costly infrastructure is anytime very costly, and sharing is a very important thing. Also, integrating knowledge and offering a fast process that can react to new ideas and needs. Also, networking provides possibilities for integration across disciplines and sectors. The second presentation about ocean observation, requirements and sustainability presentation address the interactions between 2 important stakeholders, data users and service providers. User requirements could be very large and diverse, including disaster resilience, blue economy, food security, biodiversity and ecosystem sustainability, and so on. So the best solution of getting data on all these topics are these 3: in situ measurements, remote sensed data, and results from models. But in all these cases, it's very important to take into account few aspects regarding data. Data usability. I'm talking about spatial resolution of data, time resolution of data, and also overall data quality. Also, it's important to take into account the following aspects: data requirements, what data we need, and sustainability of data creating process, how to make it continuous and complete. And funding of data creation is the most important issue here. As a conclusion of funding analysis, the presenter found that it's a clear difference in funding sustainability for the ocean communities and other communities of scientists. So it's important to have more facilities in this aspect. And another conclusion is that important components of future strategies towards sustained in situ observations will be regular mapping of user requirements, cost benefits analysis, national and international commitments, as well as free and open exchange data. And the third presentation was about the potential of wind resources in the Black Sea, presented by Takvor Sukisyan from Hellenic Center of Marine Research. Analysis of current status of offshore wind energy in the Black Sea, given by the author, show that is a lack of systematic offshore wind measurements. In the Black Sea, there are different attitudes, social behavior, and different uses of marine space in riparian countries. Also, underwater grid connections are rarely available. The other problem is financing that is continuously difficult in practically all the countries in the region. Proposed integrated approach for offshore wind farming development combines 3 different frameworks with a big demand of data for each of them. And also the proposed instrument for data integration and analysis as a GIS-based smart wind chart, which takes into consideration the most important technical parameters, such as wind speed, water depth, distance from the shore, and so on, and defines ranks and also assigns weights for parameters. As a conclusion, offshore wind farming is of a great perspective, but this involves also installing bigger floating turbines far offshore, involves adapting and creating synergy between offshore wind farming and other activities in the sea, screening of and mapping habitats, biotopes, and protected areas before, during, and after operational phase of farming, offshore wind farming. And also it's needed always to perform detailed socioeconomic evaluation survey during the design phase.
Innovative Infrastructures, the rapporteur was Joanna Staneva, who coordinates ocean waves modeling themes at Helmholtz Zentrum in Gstaad, Germany.
Hi. Okay, it works. I am pleased to present an overview of the outcome of Session 3, Building of Critical Support System and Innovative Infrastructures. Major topics addressed in Session 3, covering also all of the goals in Pillar 3 of the Black Sea area, were the following. Smart integrated observing and monitoring system to the benefits of science, industry, policy, and civil society for assessing, for example, health of marine ecosystem to reduce offshore operators' risk and protect our coastal communities have been demonstrated. Common monitoring standards and research infrastructures to support the policies have been presented. It has been also shown that marine data can only generate knowledge and research infrastructures in support of policy if they are findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Open and easy access of innovative structures are very important, and they are really needed. Session 3 consisted of 3 important presentations and also relevant to the Black Sea area follow-up discussions. The first one was on the services provided by EMSU-ERING to the marine scientific community. The development of the distributed research infrastructure, and it is important that it is at seafloor and water column of EMSU nodes, cabled or stand-alone, EMSU-ERIC provides a unique European operational capacity in collecting scientific relevant data sets. The services that are offered are open, long-term recording, coordinated, real-time, high-resolution, reliable, and also free access. EMSU-ERIC provides information and knowledge impact relevant to the Black Sea area, and it has been discussed the importance of strengthening the involvement of the different Black Sea partners from the different EMSU-ERIC's activity and providing more data and information. EMSU-ERIC offers data and services to a large and diverse group of users, from scientists and industry to institutions and policymakers. In the second talk, it has been presented the importance of high quality, fair, and interoperable scientific marine data. Marine data are essential to deliver smart, sustainable growth, to assess health of marine ecosystem and protect our coastal communities. It has been also shown that EMUDNet contributes to unlocking marine data from all data holders around all European seas basin, also with a very nice example of the Black Sea, to the benefit of science, industry, policy, and civil society. The Black Sea community, however, needs to adopt and promote open data sharing best practices to change the culture towards fair principles data sharing. Fair principle data sharing is beneficial for scientists, and it also allows testing new hypotheses, validates results, increase visibility or recognitions. And in the last presentations, the role of GEO for a sustainable Black Sea has been demonstrated. Also with encouraging organizations in the Black Sea region to participate in the different Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe calls. Also, the European Space Agency regional initiatives are focusing on the development of new innovative products and solutions to address the different regional needs. It also includes the Black Sea. The scientific community remains an important target for the use of space data, and EuroGeos is an opportunity, actually for us, it is an excellent opportunity for collaboration in the downstream part of EU value chain. And to wrap up, the message from the session 3, also with connections of the Black Sea area, Pillar 3, actually we covered most of the goals and the actions within the Pillar 3 area. And there has been shown that there are existing European and international initiatives ensuring interactions between ongoing projects and the different research activities within the Black Sea region. Also, these initiatives produce, collect, and what is very important, make available, compatible, high-quality data sets. The FAIR principles and open data access is to be secured. The research infrastructure and research projects, however, and this is very, very important, need to work much closer together and cross-fertilize each other for the Black Sea region. And enabling researchers, innovators, and stakeholders open and easy access to research infrastructures and networks. And also what is very important outcome of session 3 is the need to capitalize the best practice both in the Black Sea area and also elsewhere. And ASRIA for the Black Sea is a step to forward this approach. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we move to our fourth session, which was on education and capacity building. And the rapporteur for that session was Milan Baltov, the Deputy Rector at the Burgas Free University in Bulgaria.
Thank you, Karen. Yes, the name of the session 4, Education Capacity Building, follows exactly the name of our pillar 4 of the Black Sea Research and Innovation Agenda. And in this session we had 3 presentations. And the one presented by Dr. Tanya Zaharia, who is a Romanian national delegate at the Mediterranean Scientific Commission, CISM, was in fact an overview on the 100-year history and achievements of this commission. The Mediterranean Science Commission involves researchers from all shores of the Mediterranean and the Black Sea basins in its activities, and much more. It's not only the scientific standards that it follows and it introduces, but during this whole duration of its functions, it has also one more function, fostering this peaceful dialogue among the populations and the countries around those basins. And also in the presentation of Dr. Zaharia, it was mentioned that the scientists associated in this network act within the fold of scientific committees and task forces, directed by the international mix of committee chairs and heads of programs of high-level standing. And of course, at the very end, there was a long, long list of scientific achievements, most of them concentrated on hydro changes, the jelly watch issues, the issues of med gloss, the Mediterranean exotic species, and the partnerships initiatives. It was followed by a presentation by Dr. Fernando Diaz-Lopez, who is a director of the INAFOR-SD, and the presentation was about advancing the state-of-the-art in innovation for global sustainability. It's considered the profile and the main activities of the INAFOR-SD, and there was also a detailed overview on selective initiatives of its knowledge and capacity building generation. In the presentation, the questions on how to partner with INAFOR-SD were addressed, and the INAFOR-SD Global Secretariat and Strategic Program was promoted together with the platform that you can see here on the short presentation. And the last keynote speaker was Michael Mireia Candea, who is the director of the Mare Nostrum NGO, and she addressed the tools to make research and innovation responsible, referring to some of the lessons learned from the RI roadmap of Horizon 2020 Marina project. This Marina project was engaged all the actors in order to share knowledge, including citizens' vision and societal needs, in order to create a synergy between the research and innovation. And also the RI was regarded as a way of researching that takes long-term prospects on the types of the world that we are going to live in. And using the last seconds, I want to share my and our country, Bulgaria, real happiness that today, on the Day of Europe, we are also celebrating the finalizing and launching the Black Sea Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda. And after the Burgas Vision Paper that happened exactly in this month last year, we're in about an hour to reach to the Bucharest Declaration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our final session, which was Connections Between the Rivers and the Sea, will now be summarised by the rapporteur, Vangelis Papathanasiou, Director of Research Emeritus with the Hellenic Center of Marine Research.
Thank you, Karen. I sense a difficulty pronouncing my surname, but it's okay. I can understand it. The session was about the connections between rivers and seas. And we had 3 presentations, one with Danubius RI, which is, I think, I would say the main driver in this area for this kind of issues, and everybody should take care and advantage on that. The next one was about living in river, delta, and seas with Eric Wolanski, and I think that was a very nice presentation. It concluded a lot of things, which I'm going to present. And the last one was about the action plan for the Black Sea, very thorough presentation by Irina Makarenko. Now, I have made an attempt to integrate all this in one kind of presentation without mentioning what happens in the first one. Me, the speakers, if I miss something out of it, but we always have the time to correct that. So, the river sea systems. We have to consider, and that was coming from presentations, we have to consider the whole river to sea ecosystem as a whole, as one. We have to develop a management plan that integrates biology, hydrology, humans, the ecosystem health, and here I think Danubius RI can help, and not only can help, but can lead that process. Management, focusing the dominant processes at this stage, I think it's needed, and this is what came out from the presentation. And one thing that was not really shown, but it was in the presentation, it was to use nature defense mechanisms, even for climate change, but even for erosion, and technology that works already somewhere. And out of this, we can share the common interest for green and blue economic growth based always on, and Adrian was very, very keen on that by saying several times, on excellent scientific knowledge. And if we do that, the opportunities are large, and that is reflected also in the agenda, scientific research agenda that we had. Now, regarding the research management innovation in the Danube River Sea System, the Danubius RI, I think the mission and the vision of Danubius saying the whole thing for Danubius. The mission is to provide world-leading research infrastructure that will enable excellent interdisciplinary research, meaning from social to nature and scientific research in river sea systems, and have high social and economic impact. So the blue growth is there as well, in a sense. As for the vision, it has to be and can be recognized, and that depends on all of us, I think, as the European Center of Excellence for interdisciplinary research and innovation on river sea systems globally. And I think globally was mentioned several times by you as well, Adrian. But one thing that Danubius done is addresses society demands environmental change and environmental based on excellent research. Regarding the Danube per se, the system river delta sea system, Eric was mentioning that the sediment discharge has been reduced by 70% because of dams. And there are ways to open dams, etc. The river is still degrading by deforestation, pollution, nutrients, etc. The delta is, at the time, it's stable, but it, because they increase flux through the dredges fishing channel, but this maintains delta for the moment, so it's in critical condition in a way. So what happens to the sea? The sea is starving. Starving of the coast means erosion, chronic erosion at the area. There are various sources of pollution, the degree of which is varied. There is a very good action plan in the Black Sea from the Black Sea Commission, and partners are invited to take part in the implementation of Black Sea integrated monitoring and assessment program by IRINA by 2022. The new Marine Litter Action Plan was adopted in October, so we have a new litter marine action plan in the Black Sea, and monitoring guidelines have been elaborated at this stage. And one thing that was also mentioned by Irina was that the connections with other regional sea conventions and relevant projects and organizations are needed in order to help in the Danube River Delta Sea System. Top priority to restore the sediment flux to save the Delta and its people. The river basin must be managed as one by all the riparian countries, and you can see the very nice picture that was shown by Adrian as well. It's one of my favorites as well, so I showed it. But this is, the country border should be not taken into account in this case for the river. So it has to be taken as one, it has to be seen as one, and it has to be managed as one. And coordinated governance and management of all key flows from source to the sea, that flows, water flows, sediment flows, pollution flows, biota flows, and materials should be managed and governed. And I think the only one big idea for this management is to maintain and protect the ecological structure and functioning, while at the same time allowing the system to produce ecosystem services from which we derive societal benefits. And thank you, Eric, for this quote. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's super. Thank you all. That was a very big challenge to try and summarize so many points that were made. So thank you again for taking the time to listen so carefully to the presentations and for providing the summary. Ladies and gentlemen, a big thanks to our rapporteurs. Thank you. Okay, so I don't think that the next segment would have been in your original agenda. But of course, an awful lot has been said over the last 2 days. We're here in our generation, but in many generations to come. So the organisers of this event felt it was very fitting to hear from younger people than a lot of those who were on the panels earlier, who are going to take over the baton in terms of implementing the sort of stuff that was in those agendas over the coming decades. So we have a number of young researchers in the sorts of science environmental fields now who are going to join me on stage, and they're quite nervous about the whole thing. So if you can maybe give them a bit of warm empathy, because I think their hearts are fluttering. I'm just going to ask them a few comments to make. So can I invite now our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we should have had a 6th, and I'll tell you a little bit about her in a moment. So Ludmila Kurajieva, and again, apologies if I'm getting your names wrong. So Ludmila is a researcher. She's a postgrad student in the Mari Geo-Eco Center at the National Academy of Sciences in Ukraine. You're very welcome. You can take the first seat there. Our second young researcher student is Nina Jembekova, who is with the Marine Biology and Ecology Department with the Institute of Oceanology, BAS, in Bulgaria. Nina, great stuff. You can take the floor here. Can I welcome Gizem Akus, PhD student at the Marine Science Institute in Turkey. Salom Gobaija is a PhD student at Tbilisi State University in Georgia. And finally, Adriana Constantinescu is a researcher with the Romanian Institute of Marine Geology, Gecomar, and she's finishing her PhD at the University of Stirling in the UK. We should have been joined by another young researcher from Russia, Daria Lampadova, from the IRMO University. But unfortunately, I believe as she was getting on the plane or at the airport, she fell, and she either broke a leg or broke an arm or something or other, so she couldn't get here. So you can imagine how disappointed she is at all of that. Now, what strikes you immediately when we look at this panel? Pretty obvious. And I chair a lot of international conferences and, you know, several on this kinds of topics, maybe within a year. And I don't know if I've ever had a panel of 5, you know, women actually participating in this. So it obviously speaks to the future. So maybe if I can go to you, Ludmila. Again, you've heard a lot of ambitious stuff said over the last 2 days. What, as a young person in this field, what are your comments on what you've heard and what you'd like to see implemented in terms of having a cleaner Black Sea and a better planet? You press that, yes.
Good afternoon, dear participant of the conference. My congratulations with this significant meeting. I am very glad to be present here. There was discussed very important challenges during this conference, and I, as a young researcher, is very glad to present here. I don't want to tell fairy tales my future children about clean Black Sea. I think that we must preserve our nature and to make our world safety. I want to see this strategic research and innovation agenda implemented. And I believe that our senior colleagues will guide us, and Danubius RI project, because my subject of research is sedimentational processes in river sea system. So I think young generation need more practice, need real participation in real projects. So I believe that this step will guide us to real implementation of this agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So more young people participating in projects. Okay, Nina, what messages do you have for the people here on those views?
I would like to thank you for this great opportunity, because this event is really, really important. I can speak personally from my opinion that the very important ground has been laid with this agenda, because all important points have been included, and this will give opportunity for all researchers, especially for the young researcher, to continue with preservation of Black Sea and with all different research problems to be solved in future. What I can share for my point of view is that innovative methods for me are very important, because this is related to my personal professional area, and implementing and promoting innovative techniques for different scientific area to start. Also share knowledge, to share experience, and of course to improve our understanding of different scientific problems. And of course there is also one important question which is funding. This is really important to have possibility to improve our research, and this agenda will give us all these opportunities.
Okay, and maybe I can ask you, Nina, do you think that the Black Sea and other seas that have a lot of pollution at the moment, do you think they can be cleaned up and cleaned up quickly in order to ensure permanent damage isn't done?
I think that the condition, the environmental situation can be improved, for sure.
Can be.
Can, of course.
So you have hope?
Of course.
Okay, thank you very much, Nina. So, Nina? Gizem, maybe we can have your thoughts on this.
Okay. I would like to thanks to the people who organized these great meetings, and I would also like to thank to all of you to give us this opportunity to introduce our ideas as a new recruit, let's say. And as a start, I can say that the 4 main pillars are really very important, and they are well designed to improve to tell what need Black Sea and what actions have to be done for sustainable use of the Black Sea, I think. But for me, in point of mind, let's say, the pillar 1 and the pillar 4 is the most important one, because as a young scientist, I can contribute more, and for the pillar 4, I can take advantage to improve my knowledge, let's say. And if our ultimate goal is to use the Black Sea in sustainable manner, we need to establish our knowledge bridge is as strong as possible, I think. And because without knowing the system very well, we couldn't good manage it, what we really don't know. That's why the research is really very important, and it has a priority to start making any action, let's say. And also for the pillar 1, I can add to that pillar 1 is the most productive one besides the others, because it feeds the other pillars also, but mostly the education, because the summer schools or the schools that we take some education about the Black Sea or any courses, we couldn't achieve a long-lasting achievement, let's say, without taking part in a field and without taking part in in situ experiences. To be able to make the education in a long-lasting, you should give more chance to the young people to take responsible in the project, I think. And I think the most important things that I want to share with you is that the sea, the Black Sea, and the organisms living in the sea do not care about our borders. And whatever that have been happening in the sea, wrong or good, that affect us in the same manner. That's why if we have a problem, we should come together and we should solve the problem together to get maximum benefits from the sea as a whole. Because the Black Sea is connected as a whole system, and we should be the whole to solve the problem in the sea. And also, again, I think it is important to emphasize that not only the infrastructures things, also in the education, the opportunity, the equality in the opportunities and the chance is really very important for the future studies and the comparability and the combinability of the new research. And to finalize my talk, I can add that while again, like I want to emphasize the fundings, the institutes that gives opportunity to the youngs, I mean that not only doing research, but also grow the new young recruits institutions should be in the priority to support the project. Thank you to all for listening to us.
Thank you very much. Great, really good. I think that's a lot of food for thought. Salom, your views.
Yeah, okay. Hello, everyone. Once again, first of all, I want to say thanks for your invitation and chance to be here. As a researcher, for me, from Syria, important pillar 4, in particular, the first main objective, supporting formal and informal learning, education training, and use of knowledge and technologies for established and emerging marine and maritime jobs. I want to say a few words regarding to my research too. I researched 4 major sectors in the coastal zone in Georgia. It's public sector, private sector, non-governmental, and educational sectors. And one of my part of my research was to measure their attitude and readiness to implement the various activities based on the principles of the blue economy, and the necessary to gaining the basic and professional knowledge become salient in all of the sectors. Personally, for me, it's essential to share the experience and practice for other Black Sea countries having developed the blue economy already, and I want in future more blue economy in the coastal zone in Georgia. So.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Thank you. And finally to you, Adriana. So if you can turn off both your mics. Good. Yeah, now you have your mic.
Thank you, Karen. I would dare to go a little bit beyond the Black Sea. And what I've learned in my experience as a researcher is that, and we very often forget, that human beings are part of the Earth system and not above it. And also, as my Turkish colleague said, natural processes and phenomena have no political boundaries. They don't recognize them. So just to leave you with a few thoughts on that, we've identified the problems, we have the tools, so I think the main challenge for the future is to find the best solutions to the problems we have so far. Also, because we have the tools, yes, you've given us the tools, we are building research infrastructures, and there's also the Copernicus program for Earth observation. I think we are on the right track. So just to finish up, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for teaching us. Thank you for inspiring us with your ideas. And most of all, thank you for encouraging us and giving us the tools to build a better future. Thank you.
Okay. But Adriana, you're being nice to those who've been who are in front of you. But what do you think they should do? How can they improve things?
I think we should start with education at all levels and all ages, increasing awareness about what nature really is. So it's our mother. It's not something we just take for granted. And I think we just, from my point of view, because I'm a researcher, you know, it's my job to identify the problems and the solutions, IT and all levels of government as well, to work together for the future.
And you don't think that enough is being done at the moment in areas to make sure that, you know, the very young kids going to the very startup schools, to the universities, not enough is being done to make them more aware of their environmental responsibilities?
I know it's not enough at this time.
It is not being done.
There are things done, but it's not enough. So I think we can just start with this, because it's very easy to educate a very young child and make them aware of the environment they are inhabiting.
And to take more ownership of it.
Yes, to take responsibility, basically.
Okay, super stuff. Does anybody want to make a comment? I will be getting our next panel to take over and maybe respond. So we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for that. Thank you so much. Great, okay. That gives us all much hope for the future when we're leaving it in very capable hands. So we come to our last panel discussion, which is really just closing on, you know, some of the thoughts that have been discussed and aired over the last 2 days. So can I now invite our panelists to join me on stage? They are Baris Salih-Hoglu, whom you met on day one, the director of the Institute of Marine Sciences with the Middle East Technical University, METU in Turkey. Adrian Stanica. Again, I don't need to introduce Adrian to you at this stage, nor indeed either Sigi Gruber, Head of Unit for the Marine Research at DG Research and Innovation. I would like to introduce our next speaker, Andrea Strașinescu, Head of Unit with the Maritime Innovation, Marine Knowledge and Investment with the European Commission's DG Mare. Also, I'd like to introduce Olivia Todarian, hope I got that right, Director at the Romanian Ministry for Foreign Affairs. Now, we were supposed to have Ambassador Michael Christides. He's not able to join us, but in his place, can I invite Rusica Stoeva, the Executive Manager of BSEC, the Organization of the Black Sea Economic Cooperation. Okay, so I think that is everybody. I mean, really, over to all of you. Maybe first a comment on some of the views and the recommendations aired by our young researchers. Boris, perhaps your views on that.
Yes, thank you, Karen. After this very nice round of talks by the young researchers, I'll only make a few comments on what they said, actually. And I want to talk about the future as they have presented. I think after this point, what we need to do, the steps taken, the steps that we need to take to implement the strategic research and innovation agenda, first of all, we need to expand the group. Okay, we, as an excellent group of researchers and experts from different countries, we put together the agenda. But now, to implement it, I think we need to have an operational network which includes the funding agencies now. The issues with the funding has been also raised by the young researchers, the universities, research centers, clusters, SMEs, even NGOs can take part in the effort of implementing the agenda. And we also need to align the national priorities so we can focus on joint actions. When I talk about joint actions, I would group these joint actions under 3 themes. And these themes would be education, ecosystem, and innovation. I have realized that during this meeting we talked a lot about the data that we have and the gaps in the data that we have, and that we don't share the data enough that we have. But I think in the next meetings we need to discuss more on education and innovation. And I was very happy to see our young researchers that they brought this up during their talks, that we need to really discuss more on education and innovation. In terms of education, the community can already get together and start certain bilateral efforts. We are already doing that as the group of experts here. There are funds through BISEC, for example. There are funds through Erasmus, or EU has lots of funds on this. And in terms of the ecosystem, we can have joint expeditions where the young researchers can take part in these joint expeditions as part of their training as well. And as I said, we also need to talk a bit more on innovation. And innovation includes novel approaches towards aquaculture, for example, or how we are going to clean up the plastics from the sea. But also, we need to establish Black Sea specific clusters towards first understanding the needs of innovation towards the implementation of the agenda, and then where these needs come from. And we need to start moving and include all the innovative approaches towards realization of the agenda. And as the last, I would like to say that in the first day, yesterday, in the beginning of my talk, I said I truly believe that the next coming years, there will be a boost in research and innovation in the Black Sea. And I really believe in that. And this was a great, very important milestone in the long history of collaboration in the Black Sea. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Maybe, Siggy, just to get some comments again on some of the views expressed by our previous panel.
I would like, first of all, to really congratulate the 5 young women sitting here. And they compensated as well, in a way, the gender balance of previous sessions. With all respect to you, Adrian. And if you look at them, then maybe we can deduct as well that the future of research and innovation in the Black Sea is going to be in the hands of women. So I took away one sentence which was really striking me. No fairy tales. We can talk to my children, or I can talk to my children. And this is something I think we have all to remember. And also their big wish to be empowered, to be taken seriously as research, as PhD candidates. They do already research. So put them into your different research projects. We have in Horizon 2020 included actually an impact criteria that all research projects need also to cater for training. And I don't think this has been taken seriously, so we also need to get back and check out how much of training is actually offered within the research projects to young people. This would be a great way to bring them all in. We also have another impact criteria, which is outreach. And one person mentioned that we don't enough talk about the importance and the source of wealth of the Black Sea and of the seas and ocean in general. So that is another very, very important. And education at all levels struck me as well as an important issue. So I think there is no pressure on all of us, but we have to take the recommendations very seriously and really respond to them. Otherwise, we will not be those people who inspire them, because they thanked us for inspiring them. And so we have actually to live up to our responsibility as well. Now can I go on?
Yes,
I wanted to take advantage of the fact that today is Europe Day. And I'm not sure that all of you know why we celebrate Europe Day. What happened in 1950 on the 9th of May? The foreign president, the ambassador of France and of Germany met and signed the Schuman Declaration, which established actually a cooperation on coal and steel between these two countries, which until very recently before had been in war, and put it under one high institutional responsibility. And they signed up this Schuman Declaration, which gave birth really to the European integration. And in the Schuman Declaration, there is one sentence that I just picked out because it fits well in what we have been doing. So it is really, the Schuman Declaration was to create a common interest between European countries. Europe will not be made all at once or according to a single plan. It will be built through concrete achievements. And so this is what we have been doing as well, I think, in the last years, and particularly yesterday and today, because we have heard many, many, many interesting achievements that have already been created in and around and for the Black Sea. And so, as Baris mentioned, what we need to do is now to capitalize all this and not to just leave it go away again and just not harvest it. So one of the really activities that we need to do as follow-up is to create a one-stop shop, a one web portal, where we connect the different platforms, where we connect the different results that were presented here. We analyze it as well, so that we really create this whole community, we widen it. This will be done through the support and coordination action, which will start working in the autumn this year. Furthermore, we also have, as was mentioned already yesterday, we have put out a call for proposal, which will be announced later in June, for a financial envelope of 18 million to really help implementing many of the aspects that were as well raised in the strategic research and innovation agendas, and that are the challenges that we face in terms of still knowledge gaps in and for the Black Sea. On the 4th of July, there will be the Info Day in Brussels. I invite you to take part of it, or at least to follow it in web streaming. Another issue which was mentioned was open data access. Now, the FAIR principles and the open data access was an option, but it's not anymore. In any of our funded projects, it is a must. And we heard that if there is no access, there is no open access and sharing of data, many of the things that we could, we should, we would like to do can simply not take place. So our recommendation to all of you, beyond the funded projects, is to share the data. They are relevant for the citizens. They live on the scores, but also for all of your research. Then, sorry, I'm just like, yes. We also, yesterday, we heard the presentation from our colleague from the IOC, from Peter. And we, of course, would like to support the UN Decade for Ocean Science through our work. So we have to find as well a way of earmarking each other's opportunities and each other's meetings. And we would like to send out a kind of short message asking all of you, what are you going to plan in the next 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, and how can we really leverage on all these different ongoing activities? There is not a one-size-fits-all. There is openness, and it should continue to be open. But there is so much, I think, that we need to bring under one umbrella. And last but not least, we would like to continue in the Commission to support this whole process by creating or by continuing with the expert group or the group of experts, but they need to be nominated by the respective ministries. So we will get back to the ministries asking for such a nomination so that we have the continuation of this whole process, which will be supported by the different means that we also have. And I would like really to thank all of you for your fantastic as well input, for the discussions that we have had, which allow us to have the Bucharest Declaration, which will be read later. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Maybe if I can go next to you, Olivia Todarian, Director of the Romanian Ministry for Foreign Affairs. Siggy mentioned there just, you know, concrete actions now. So, and how do we capitalize on what's been achieved so far? So from a very sort of practical level, how do we capitalize now on what has been achieved and to ensure that the challenges don't bog down the ambitions?
Okay, thanks. I was very relaxed sitting here waiting for my place in line, so I was a bit, this is an element of surprise. Now, thanks for for opening this for me, but with a question that I can answer partly, and the rest of the substances with all the panel in a way. Because I was just thinking, you know, while seeing all of you in the room and for the lunch and yesterday as well, that I think many of you, if not most of you, have heard me talking already on Black Sea related issues. So I thought, what else or what new could I share with you? And then I also thought, why does Viorel and Adrian and Mrs. Gruber keep inviting me as a speaker, as a participant and listener? I said, and I think, and this is coming to your question, I seem, and then I go to how I see things. I seem to be a diplomat that understands not science, but the use of science. So, and I hope I am, at least for the use of science, not necessarily content, because science is of so many kinds. But, so I can answer only from this point of view. Let's say a diplomat that understands what's the usefulness of science for our society, economy, you name it, life, and so on. I also want to make a second remark that I'm not the only one. Among the diplomats, I mean. So there are more of us, including in Romania, but also across the region and in Europe and all over the world. So you can count on that, and you should reach out to that, to us, to those, and so on. So you know my face, but there are others. I regularly get in contact with them. I talk about you, the process, the community, and so on. So really look for us, we look for you, and that will strengthen our partnership. Now, since we are the keyword of partnership, I also hope, and as much as I will continue responsibilities, but also the ones who will take up at some point after me, that this is not only a presidency-based partnership. And innovation in Romania, with GeoEcomar, with the Institute of Antipa, the universities, all of those stakeholders with whom I worked for more than a year now. We've worked more than a year to prepare this, but I certainly, and this is also sort of a heads up, early warning, you will hear from me, of course, after summer as well. So it's not only, it will go beyond our presidency, since I hope Romania is contributing to a legacy that's will reach far beyond the duration of our presidency. Coming to Sria, happy birthday to Sria, since I'm not sure, we will settle for yesterday to be the birth date on the certificate? I think so, not to concur, not to compete with 9th of May. So happy birthday to Sria, long live Sria for yesterday and for the occasions today. Congratulations to all the researchers, the one that I already know, the others from the region, from across Europe that have been involved in this. I would really like to, also to the official representatives in various capacities from the countries that are involved, and I'd really, the countries and all their representatives, be they yourselves, the researchers, but also the diplomats, the officials in various capacities from the ministries. I would also name the countries because they deserve a round of applause in a way. So it is beside Romania as a host for today and so on, Bulgaria, Georgia, the Republic of Moldova, Ukraine, Turkey, Russia, they all deserve congratulations in what they've done, in the many capacities and faces from those countries that we have seen. Of course, all our appreciation, although our Secretary of State has said it yesterday, but I feel the need to repeat it to the Commission, to Ziggy's team, to Anna Teresa, to Daniel, all those veto, those who have been involved in this. The other very important point, and that also helps like a dictionary or a sort of explanation, not to confuse you all with the agendas of the region, I need maybe to spell out the link between SRIA, the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, which was born yesterday, will be followed. It's very probable, but the negotiations have not quite ended, will be followed by our side of the work, by the governmental side of the work, by a common maritime agenda. Some of you have already heard about it, some of you will hear about it in the future. It is a different agenda, but very much complementary. We know about each other, we interlink the two documents. Well, that's a package of documents, you know, we civil servants are more into papers and words. That's a heavier stuff than SRIA in terms of words and pages. But these are interconnected, and that will be also the economic-oriented side of the moon. This is research and innovation, that's the economy-oriented and policy-making-oriented side of this coin, of this complex. So that should be adopted, we plan to adopt it on the 21st of May in Bucharest, the same countries, and Commissioner Vela so it's a different Director General, DG Mare. After that, we have the whole package, and then the ball is back in our yard. You're right, Karen, and the ones who previously suggested, but also in your yard, because I know from our conversations in Burgas and over the past year that you think how to approach your governments. Well, there are different ways, but I do encourage you to go and approach your ministries, the local administrations, the business people, the local also NGOs. Romania, I know it's a big supporter also of the Black Sea NGO Forum, which is it's a process of 12 years, very much aware, I'm really coming to the end, very much aware of this, of the content of what you have worked and of the Common Maritime Agenda. We should see for community development, environmental awareness, how this can be interlinked. So, of course, you expect a lot for us. That's understandable. We take the responsibility, but also give us a chance in terms of civil servants, bureaucrats, diplomats. Come to your country representatives. Go to them. And, of course, through Romania, I will also make this with my team, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will also make this pledge, in a way, in our bilateral relations for the ministries, the governments, the specialized agencies to be involved in these two. So I would say let's have an embrace in which we deal with a top-down approach and the bottom-up approach. Yours is the bottom-up approach. We'll also try to kind of from the government to the society approach. But the embrace is the best we can do.
Okay.
So
okay.
really give us that chance.
Okay. I'm conscious that people are probably rushing for planes and trains. Maybe Rosica Stoeva, some brief words from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Good afternoon. My name is Rosica Stoeva. I'm working at BISEC. I'm executive manager. I'm dealing with this. I'm still part of the working group. Okay. I'm part of the working group on research and innovation since its inception in 2017. In order to support the six littoral states plus Republic of Moldova, which all are BISEC member states, in achieving SRIA for the Black Sea, the Research Innovation Agenda for the Black Sea. I believe that what has been said by Olivia, it's very important that it's time to celebrate. And all researchers and institutions that were involved in this process have to be proud of what they have achieved. This is a step forward in taking joint action towards preserving our precious Black Sea. On behalf of the Secretary General of BISEC, Ambassador Christidis, who has to left for an emergent meeting with the Minister, I would like to confirm the readiness of our scientific community in the Black Sea to be actively involved in this implementation process of SRIA. This is very important. We would like to coordinate our efforts with the Black Sea University Network, with Professor Mahmoud, in order to promote their involvement and present the results of their work. We heard a lot about the challenges and problems that the Black Sea is facing. We have to start addressing them jointly. And we in BISEC are ready to support and contribute to such a development. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. And if we can go to you, Andreea Strașinescu, Head of Unit with the Maritime Innovation with the Marine Knowledge and Investment with European Commission's DG Mare, your views on next steps and what can be done.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I think that, first of all, I would like to congratulate all of you for the work that was done. We know very well, and at all levels, it's not very easy to bring different interests together. But when we achieve something, it's quite important. And Olivia mentions Austria was finalized. Olivia mentioned the Common Maritime Agenda, hopefully to be signed in Bucharest on 21st of May. But these are the first steps. These are the commitments. What is needed next is to work together. And here we need governments, we need authorities, we need all the stakeholders, public funding institutions as well, to work together. And then when working together and developing actions, have a look at the bigger picture. And it was mentioned that the ocean has no border, air has no border. And if you are looking what is in front of us, we have big challenges. You are probably aware that at the end of last year, the Commission issued a communication on the Clean Planet for All, and the aim to have decarbonization, a clean environment with a perspective of 2050. Ocean, it's clearly related. We put a lot of pressure on ocean, but also ocean has a lot to offer. has a lot to offer in terms of electricity. That probably will need to consume double in 2050. So we need probably to see how the sea can offer this electricity. Also in terms of biofuels, you are probably aware that algae can offer us biofuels. And not at the end, the most important, food. In 2050, it's expected that probably will be 9 billion. How we are going to feed all of us? Sea also can offer an answer. But in order to arrive there, we need to put a lot of efforts in research and to see how this can be done. We work together at the level of European Commission, and of course, DG Mare is working extremely closely with RTD, with Ziggy, and probably you are aware that what is coming in front of us, it's a mission proposed on healthy ocean, seas, coastal, and inland waters. All the system is related, and you had a session on rivers, of course, that it's extremely important, and what is getting, the river is getting on everything in the sea. We know that in this case, Danube probably is one of the rivers that it brings most of the pollution in the sea, so more a bit late in 2023. Also, the European Maritime and Fisheries Fund will continue to put efforts and to dedicate funding for all the work to continue the projects that already are delivering. And it was mentioned previously the role of education. It's extremely important. We have projects on skills running, but also supporting the ocean literacy. We need to educate our kids, we need to educate everybody about ocean, what the ocean can offer. And we'll have, at the beginning of the fall, launched a platform on ocean literacy, a European one that is going to work towards sustainability and ocean literacy. So all the work is going to be continued in this European Marine Observation Data Network that had a presentation already. Observation extremely important, and it's important to have data, it's important to share data, because based on this we can build what we need in terms of projects for sustainability. Just to give an example, there were some stress tests that were made by EMONET, and in fact we do not have currently for the Black Sea reliable information to see what is coming from Danube exactly in the sea, where we can put wind offshore. So there is a lot of need to have more data observation for the Black Sea. I think that all of this, as I said, can be done only working together. And what I would like to invite all of you, especially at the level of the Black Sea and all the stakeholders that are collaborating, to try to engage more. We know very well, and that at the level of the projects that we financed up to now through different instruments, Horizon 2020, LIFE, European Maritime and Fisheries Fund, the projects from Black Sea and even Baltic as well, there are only a few. In order to be able to build this, I invite all of you to try to engage more, to try to bring all of you together, and to develop and to propose solutions that are going to contribute to the development of the sustainable Black Sea of the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And finally, to you, Adrian, some closing remarks.
Oh dear, I'm sure everybody here in this room is already bored listening to me, and they're saying, oh no, not that guy again. So thank you. It's, I think it's a very, very important moment, and it's a new beginning, this one now. And I was thinking when we started talking that I started working in newly founded GeoEcomar back in 1994. And how was the situation back then? It was just after the fall of a social regime, and except for Turkey, former Soviet Union countries, Romania and Bulgaria, were trying to find their way. They are trying to change the way, not knowing where to go. And it was quite chaotic. And it was, again, I think, to that era when the United Nations, and there's a fellow that we forgot about, but I think I should mention it, is the huge merit of Lawrence Mee, who passed away a few years ago, who started uniting all of us, putting the community together. And a few institutions survived, and then we started growing again. And I remember the period of optimism about 10 years ago, and when we started cooperating. It was the period when the European Commission extended the framework program projects and calls also to our area. And we re-entered, if I can say so, in the game with the actors that really mattered. And we started cooperating each other, but actually there were periods when we didn't even have the money to meet and to discuss. And slowly things started to change, and we started working together, and we are now in front of the SRIA that really gives us huge opportunities. And I think we have everything here. We have lots of best practice. You've heard about that. We need to better discuss and to better communicate with each other. But these information exist. We need to work together to sort things out. There's still some disorder, a significant disorder, but it's much better, and it's a creative disorder as well, if you want. So there is a direction, there is a focus. And what's also important, extremely important, it's all about sharing, it's all about caring, it's all about trust. And what we're doing here, it's a sign of the trust that we're building in each other. And this is, again, extremely important. Data sharing means trusting each other, cooperating with each other. So I'm quite optimistic by nature, otherwise I would have changed my job a long time ago. So I am even more optimistic now, but I don't know whether this can be called optimism or realism. And optimism with a plan, and now with a strategy, a strategic agenda. But really what falls on us is to go, sorry Viorel, to our national ministries and start putting pressure on them so we can transform this agenda into reality. So to try to have national programs or sub-programs or priorities where we can also find the money for the daily routine and to do research and monitoring and to cooperate between ourselves. I think that one of the, and then I'll shut up, and another good example, because there are many good examples, we can go back to what was, I think it was FP7 Black Sea ERANET, where we had one call, where the funding agencies put money together, and we were able to work together using national funding. That was a splendid example that we can do it. Let's look at what we have, and I'm sure that we can put back this puzzle and really remake this common Black Sea identity to whom we belong and we need to push on.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So, yes, Siggy. Yes? Yes, okay. Okay, so we'll actually go straight on to the final part rather than taking a break, because again, people are keen to go. And by the way, thanks to all of you for your final remarks. So let's just move straight to the general conclusions and the presentation of the Bucharest Declaration. So if I could invite you to the podium, Viorel Volturescu, the Director of the Romanian Ministry for Research and Innovation. Are we okay? Yeah. Do you have a presentation? Yeah, you can just, I'll take my stuff out of here. Give you a free podium. There you go.
So before starting reading the declaration, dear Adrian and dear colleagues, I have to admit honestly that it would be very difficult to cope with the pressure that you are going to put on me. In practical terms, I mean. So, dear colleagues, dear friends, dear participants to the conference, I'm very pleased and very honored to read the Bucharest Declaration on the Black Sea Research and Innovation Agenda. So we, the participants to the Sustainable Development at Black Sea Conference, held in Bucharest on 8th and 9th of May 2019, under the Romanian presidency of the Council of the European Union, with the support of the European Commission. Recalling the Burgas Vision Paper, a Blue Growth Initiative for Research and Innovation in the Black Sea, issued on the occasion of the European Maritime Day held under the Bulgarian presidency of the EU Council during 31st of May and 1st of June 2018. Commending the joint efforts made by the scientific communities, business representatives, and other stakeholders from the Black Sea coastal countries, namely the Republic of Bulgaria, Georgia, Romania, the Russian Federation, the Republic of Turkey and Ukraine, as well as the Republic of Moldova, together with experts from marine research institutes and organizations across Europe, greatly facilitated by the support of the European Commission. Underlining the exceptional research and innovation potential of the Black Sea and its basin in the fields such as the use of biotic resources, maritime transport and wider connectivity, offshore renewable energy and alternative energy, such as seafloor hydrocarbons and alga biofuels, and tourism, due to its unique ecosystems and forms of life, influenced also by the major river-sea interactions, its culture and heritage. Noting with preoccupation the emerging challenges posed by marine and coastal pollution, climate change, eutrophication, coastal hazards, unsustainable fishing practices, limited scientific understanding of the specificities and profile of the Black Sea and their impact upon social and economic decisions, and vice versa. Understanding the unique opportunity of recent developments, including with the regional, European, and global scientific marine communities, for research, technology development, and knowledge transfer towards user in a wider range of areas, including alternative energy sources in the Black Sea region, as well as incentivizing innovative business approaches. Being aware of the strategic importance of pan-European cooperation and in research and innovation, which includes cooperation and exchange of best practices between scientific partners from the Black Sea Basin and counterparts from other sea basins from around Europe, as well as from global ocean as a whole. Understanding the utmost relevance of scientific diplomacy as a catalyst for more stability, prosperity, and development and coastal safety of all Black Sea Basin countries and of European countries. Considering the potential for sustainable blue growth in the Black Sea area based on research and innovation, on promoting the knowledge triangle, education, research, innovation, and on evidence-based policy making in multiple marine and maritime areas. Agree to consider the strategic research and innovation agenda developed with a dedicated multi-annual collaborative process supported by the European Commission and by governments in the Black Sea region, annexed as an integral part of this declaration, as a guiding document in elaborating research and research-related strategies and policies, and in identifying, prioritizing, and implementing research projects at national, regional, and European level. Welcome the Strategic Research and Development Agenda for the Black Sea as the research pillar in support of the Common Maritime Agenda for the Black Sea. Decide to continue working together towards the implementation of activities and actions foreseen in the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda in an integrated and coherent manner within the larger framework of the Common Maritime Agenda for the Black Sea, to the benefit of our citizens, our societies, and of a more competitive regional environment. Reiterate the determination to focus our efforts at all levels and on advancing the strategic research and innovation agenda for blue growth in the Black Sea region, in close cooperation with the efforts and the relevant policies of the European Union, aiming in particular at addressing fundamental Black Sea research challenges, developing products, solutions, and clusters underpinning Black Sea blue growth, building of critical support systems and innovative research infrastructures, education and capacity building, encourage all parties, and particularly the governments of the Black Sea littoral countries and of the Republic of Moldova, as well as regional, European, and international institutions that are willing to contribute to the implementation of the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, to commit and engage in actions and projects foreseen in this leading document. Encourage all relevant stakeholders to make full use of this agenda and to work in partnership with scientists, industry representatives, local communities, and other parties on implementing its priorities and actions. Encourage national, regional, European, and international financial institutions, as well as the European Commission, to align existing and future funding in order to support projects and advancing the strategic research and innovation agenda. Encourage the regular update of the strategic research and innovation agenda to permanently keep pace with the latest scientific developments and challenges affecting the Black Sea Basin, which are key to preserve and to promote the efficient use of the Black Sea resources. Ask governments and the European Commission to facilitate the process of implementing the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda by setting up and support a technical group of experts that will continue working on these aspects. Thank you, so help me God. And at the end, I would like, in the name of the Presidency, to thank all of you, to thank very much the Commission, to my team, to Dana Vasile and Cristina Voicaru, and to the whole GeoEcomar team for the huge effort paid to this event. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you very much. And there we go, the declaration. Do you want to say some final goodbyes, or do you want me to do it? Do you want to say it, or will I do it? You? Siggy? Adrian? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll speak from here. So now we have a strategic research and innovation agenda. Let's see how to make it work and to transform it into reality. This is probably the most important point from now on. From another point of view, I'd like to thank Karen. You are a great moderator, and I thank you, and I guess all of us, we can thank you for you. I thank the colleagues in the European Commission, in our ministry. I thank all the colleagues with whom we worked to develop the strategic research and innovation agenda. Our colleagues in METU really sacrificed thousands of hours of work to put together all the materials. And all of you with whom we work together, thanks again. And I thank you all, those who come here, for being here in this moment, for being involved. Let's see how, and as soon as possible, how we can continue to work together. This is extremely important. So thank you once again. And From my point of view, these are the key messages, but there are some practical messages. Those of you who are coming in the field trip, remember to take the sheets from outside at the entrance at that desk, because we changed the location of the buses due to the police requirements. So in order not to find yourself in the right moment in the wrong place, try to check where you're going to be. So this is number one. Number two, it's about solidarity, cooperation, taking on board your opinions. We, Danubius Preparatory Phase Consortium, prepared a series of questionnaires asking for your opinion as potential stakeholders of this infrastructure. Please remember to fill in the questionnaires and to leave them outside as well. So this is very important. It's an important contribution to the development of a research infrastructure, and trust me, your opinion matters. Thank you very much again. And the final one, so you see I have problems with my memory. I told you you're gonna say that's enough. Oh no, not again. But this is the good news. We are ending in style with a coffee break.
Okay, very good. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so it's been my pleasure to have moderated this event, and at such an historic time as well with the Bucharest Declaration. I wish you well with the research and innovation agenda for the Black Sea. Thank you again. Safe journey home to those of you who are travelling today, and enjoy the field trips to those who are going on those. Thank you, and hopefully see you again. Bye.